I can. So we are glad you guys are here. I got to look at my notes and make sure I get this all straight. But we are glad that you guys are here. Just remember during the Zoom meeting to keep yourself muted. When you're in the breakout rooms, you can unmute yourself then. That works out a little bit better then. But we'll be going to breakout rooms here shortly for our first game. And as you guys probably, most of you know, that Oasis is just about getting together and sharing, getting into the Word of God and the refreshing spiritual atmosphere that it brings. But anyways, if you have any questions or things like that, you can always, ask a question on, the chat Zoom in reference to something that's happening on screen or something like that. But we are going to go ahead and let's get started with prayer, and then we're going to have a really fun opening tonight that James will tell you about just after prayer here. Let's bow our heads for prayer. Our kind Heavenly Father, thank you so much for another Sabbath day that you've given to us, and thank you for the beautiful weather and evening that we're having, at least here in Northwest Arkansas, and I hope that everybody else is having good weather as well. Thank you for the Sabbath and the rest that it brings, and for the opportunity to come together to share and worship and praise you. Send your Holy Spirit to be with each person here tonight and help us to receive a blessing. In that name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay, so this game is kind of a combination of of your typical scavenger hunt kind of game. We did this at work recently, and the difference between this game and the games we normally do is instead of having the game and the excitement on the big group level, this is more of a breakout room group size type of icebreaker. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to put everybody in their breakout rooms, and you are going to be going on a individual group selfie scavenger hunt. Okay, so let's say here's a quick preview. If you can see my shared screen, we've got a whole list of items. Okay, and you're going to go get one of these items. You go get a USB cable. You can either take a picture of that cable and send it to your group leader, or you can bring it back, put it in front of your camera. Let's say the first item is a pair of scissors, and your group leader can do a window snip, and we'll keep track of that with you. But that's the key. All the items have to be with you in the picture. All right. You can do it. You can take your camera with you outside though and do a selfie and send it to them. You can do however you can. I'm sure you guys can figure out the technology side of getting the pictures to the group leaders. Group leaders, you're going to self-tally your scores for your group and send it to me, and then send me the pictures, email the pictures to me later at compassnwayouth@gmail.com, and we'll look at these hopefully fun group of pictures next week as part of our next meeting. Okay, so here's a couple of the kind of guidelines or rules. Group leaders, you're keeping track of the photos and you're keeping track of the points. There needs to be a person in the picture. So let's say, it's a picture. One of the items is a speaker. Can't be just the speaker. Can't be just the speaker. It needs to be you holding the speaker. So we need to be able to identify the person in the picture. And that way it's also obvious that these aren't Google searches for the items, okay? Group leaders, if you can send me the tallies of the points tonight, like in the chat or something, we'll know who the winning group is tonight. And we'll do the pictures on another night. And so what we're going to do is everybody in the group, so this is a team prize, each person in the team will be part of the team prize. So it'll be like 1 or 2 pure joe tokens for each person in the group. Does that make sense? Anybody have any questions? Anybody have any questions? Okay, so I'm going to switch over to can everybody see the screen that has all the stuff in it? I want all you tech savvy kids, everybody do some screenshots of that so that you have that in your group. So I'm going to give you a second or two while I start assigning rooms to put you, while I start putting you in rooms for you to screen chat that. Adults, other than you adults that are group leaders, I'm going to put the adults on their own team. Okay. So adults, your goal is to see if you can beat the kids. All right. Yes, you'll work out your strategy of splitting up the list and figuring out how to who gets what when you are in your breakout room. Once we assign everyone to the breakout room, you will have 15 minutes in your breakout room to get your stuff. And when that is over, wherever you are time-wise, the time is done, and you will have to, you'll be done. And so you just get in whatever you can. Kalechi is a group leader. Andrew is a group leader. The Fetters are a group leader. And if I can find Mr. Franco, he's a group leader. And you should start seeing your assignments in just a minute. I'm opening the rooms and I am starting to push you to rooms now. I apologize, I don't know all of you. So
James, I have a quick question.
yes, hurry before I throw you into a room.
I'm already about to go there, but can the leaders also find the stuff too, or just the other ones?
No, the leader is just keeping track of stuff.
Okay, awesome.
Is Jason Gottschalk an adult or a youth?
Youth. Did you hear that?
So if you happen to be in a room and a family that has adults and youth in your group, like Angel and Kess, I'll leave that up to you guys on whether or not how you figure that out, whether or not you're going to help or not. So I think we have Jason Gottschalk was an adult or a youth?
Youth.
All right. If you are still in this room, it's because you're old. Joy, do you have youth with you?
Oh, Cass is not. I don't know.
Which camera is Kess on? Matt Pfeiffer. Okay.
Yes, we've got some youth with us.
Awesome, Joy. So I'm assigning you to a room. All right. So now I see just adults left in here. I am going to create. I sent them a thing, honey. They just haven't accepted it. Matt Pfeiffer, you haven't accepted your room yet. It looks like you keep if you don't accept it in time, you end up back here. Who's Christy N? So not joined yet. All right, adults that are still here, Carrie says Bernie should be your leader. We're gonna stay right here in this room, and you guys, if you would like, can go on the scavenger hunt too. I don't know. Do you think the adults are that adventurous? I'm gonna unmute you all because it's weird to not have any feedback.
Can you hear me, James?
I can hear you.
Okay. I guess I get to run around with the computer then.
What's that?
I guess I get to run around with the computer then.
All right, you guys. So do you guys think you can beat the kids? It's up to you. Let me assign Mike as the group leader on this one, Mike, to keep track of the you can still go get stuff, but to keep track of the pictures. Okay? So it is 8:13. I'm going to set this to end right at 8:29. Right? A little bit more than 15 minutes.
Cool.
I apologize if there's anyone I've offended by not putting in with the youth.
They have to send me a text picture?
Or hold it up and you do a screenshot.
Oh boy.
So I'll come back with my stuff. I don't think we have a carrier pigeon. That could be a problem.
I know people in our community that if they showed up for this, they would have had that one.
Wow. That's impressive.
Come here, girl.
I think you might know what the last stamp on my passport is. Okay, I'll give a passport and a Bible. And a cleaning tool.
So Michael, how are we organizing this? Here's a USB cable.
Okay, it looks like one to me. All right. I got to figure out how to.
Shoelace. I got shoelaces.
How about if you guys keep track of your own? How about that? Because this is going to be too hard to do. I can tell you that.
Well, he said we could either show it to you or send you a picture. So
Right. And he wants me to take a screenshot. So that's going to be, I don't even know how to do it on this computer. Okay, I'll tell you what. Okay, do the USB cable first. Oh, never mind. Hang on. I'm sorry. Just a minute. Okay. All right. I have yours, Donald. But I got to save everything else.
Am I the only one playing the game?
No, they are.
Okay. So I hold up a picture. Is that
Sure.
how it goes? Last stamp of my passport.
Okay, I'm going to take a snapshot real quick. Oh, this is hard to do. Okay, Bernie, you said you had shoelaces, right? Okay, let me hold those back up so I can get a snapshot of it. All right, I got that.
Here's my Bible.
Hang on. This is not easy to do. Okay. All right, got your Bible.
Okay, here's the oldest book in my house.
Can't really see it, but that'll work.
Name is.
I've got a picture of a branch in my yard when you're ready.
Got that?
Sure, branch in the yard. Who has that?
Donald.
Okay, there you go. All right, got that.
Looks like Manny has a plane.
Sarah and Alex, looks like you guys got kicked out of your group. What group were you in so I can send you back?
I was with Clutchy.
Hey James, I was with Sarah. I was leading the group and I got logged out.
What room number?
It was number 4.
3.
I was with Sarah and the Smiths.
All right.
I was
You were in
group
number
1.
4, Jonathan?
I thought it said 4 with Sarah.
Okay, and just Sarah, you were in group 3.
Yes. with
Alexa,
Clutch.
what group were you in?
I
Alexis.
got yours, Les Mis.
1.
Do you want the swoosher picture?
All right, you're back.
Somebody may have it.
Got it.
All right, guys, the kids are ripping this up already, so I hope you guys are doing
TV
okay.
remote.
Oh.
So letting y'all know I'm at work right now, so I can't really participate in this thing.
Oh, I bet there's things you could find to do.
It's too bad
got
a
the remote.
flotation device isn't included.
I got your
Does
remote.
anybody want any oxygen?
Yeah. You're kind of like a carrier pigeon.
Yeah.
Here's my favorite artwork.
I overwrote your Les Mis book. Try that again.
Oh, you want another picture of it?
Yeah.
Michael, did you get that?
Okay, Donald, what is that a picture of?
It is mountains and trees with a Bible verse on it.
Okay. All right, anything else?
A working film with a cord. Don't think I have that.
DVD, okay.
Did you get a
All
DVD?
right, all right, got your DVD.
I'll get a piece of food and toilet paper. Oh wait, how do I get back on Zoom? How do I do this? Okay.
Hey, hold up both of them.
Orange and toilet paper.
Got them.
Okay.
All right, here's an extension cord.
All right, got it, Donald.
My bed is made. It just has junk on it.
All right, got it. Yearbook? Okay, Donald got the yearbook. Oh. Yeah, I don't know. I think you take your phone around the house and take pictures.
Do what?
Sound like I heard an airport in the background.
Hey, no pressure, by the way, but I should let you guys know probably this room is also currently being broadcast live to YouTube.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I noticed that up on the top there. Hey, James, I think Matthew's trying to get on.
He is, and
You
I
see
already
him?
assigned him to a room.
Hey, Donald, I got that one.
Thank you.
Who is Christy N?
There's Matthew. James, am I supposed to go to break room 2?
No, sorry. Did I do that? I meant to put Matthew in there.
Okay, I'll cancel that.
Do we have a cleaning tool yet?
Jacqueline got a mop.
Okay.
I took a screenshot of it. Did you get a screenshot of it?
Did we get a vine yet?
Vine. Got a tree branch behind me.
I can get a vine. Give me a minute.
Let's go back to my screenshot. Favorite piece of
Hey,
art.
Matthew, can you hear me? Did you see that I assigned you to breakout room 2?
Oh, I'll go.
They need your help. Jimmy, did you see that I assigned you to breakout room 2 as well?
I have a paper roadmap.
Parker,
Non-US currency
I
from four
assigned you
separate
to breakout
countries.
room 3.
Not sure what that would be.
And Christy N, assuming you're a youth, you can hear me. I assigned you to breakout room 4. We got 6 minutes left, you guys.
I was about ready to ask you.
How are you guys doing? Are you getting close?
I don't think so.
I think Manny needs to qualify as the carrier pigeon.
Ooh, there could be it could be creative points. You know, if he'll go out and sit on one of those planes.
That sounds like a workers' comp accident waiting to happen.
It does.
And I see Glenn and Camille, and I see them in here twice. Is that both adults in both cases?
All right, Donald, I got it.
I think they got a system going.
Maybe.
What is that?
I'm not sure who else has foreign money, but here's Canadian $10 bill.
Okay, got it.
I'll go get more money.
I don't know what that is.
There's some foreign money from Lebanon.
Okay, I got it. It's dark out here. Everybody have a good work week. Oh, Donald, you're muted. I can't hear you. All right, I think it's about ended.
Okay, here's a picture of a made bed.
I got it. Yeah, I think the Upsons have a pretty good method there. Looks like he has a runner.
Oh, some creative points there. I gotcha.
Mrs. Upson has helped a little.
Rob, can you put Sinead back?
Hey, everybody is starting to come back
Can you
in.
have paper
Time
because
is up.
She did.
But just give me another paper towel.
Oh, Michael, if you can add up the main room points and let me know. And kind of like, kind of can you beat a fifth grader type of thing? Could any of the kids beat the adults?
Hey, sorry, I can't hear you. There's too much noise going on.
Welcome back to the main group, everybody. Let's see. Is everybody on mute? Awesome. Hey, group leaders, anybody have any fun stories about anything funny or silly or that happened in the last few minutes while you were getting stuff? Yeah, Kalechi, I see you laughing. You're gonna have to come off mute and tell us.
So so Denary took a picture of her yearbook photo. Hold on, I need to tell my speaker to be quiet. So Denary took a picture of her yearbook photo, and and I saw one of the options was take a picture of the oldest book in the house. So I said, I was like, you can just close, the yearbook and take a picture of the front.
I like that.
Can you believe that? That's funny.
So by letting an adult in your group accidentally, we gave you an unfair advantage.
I guess so.
Anybody else have any other
I guess
in the group? Was anyone able to find some of the harder questions for harder items? Anybody find a tin can phone system?
We almost had a tin can phone system. Someone was making one.
Okay. Oh, perfect.
We brought it up and went like this right as the camera switched us out.
Yeah, we didn't get it.
Oh.
We made one.
We had a handwritten letter received in the mail as well.
Awesome. Okay. Anybody have a telegram?
No.
Someone had an old Thai tea in their fridge from 2012, was it? The Pfeiffers.
Oh, call them out. Okay.
Yeah.
And how about anybody with a working corded telephone?
We had it.
Are you kidding?
We have two of them in the same. We're in my dad's
They're in
old
like
office.
a 30-year-old office building.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. All right. All right. Awesome. Awesome. Do you guys, anybody see any connection? Not every one of these items fits the theme, but I'm curious, does anybody guess if there's any theme in these questions? Jump off mute if you can think of the theme.
Old.
Old. No, that's close though. Points for you. Really, nobody can think of a theme.
Not
How?
used anymore? Something.
I was gonna say communication.
Okay, communication's close. Kelechi was going to say communication. Is that what that means? Okay. Our theme with John 15:5 and staying connected to the branch. So a lot of these are either ways that we can stay connected. We used to stay connected, or they're people you might connect with, or something like that. So there's a bit of a theme there to kind of introduce us into our night and to where we hand off to Judy. Thanks, you guys. Did you enjoy that game? Did the adults enjoy? Were you okay being segregated into an, senior group?
Well, I wasn't.
Hey, James, were you going to do the video first?
Do you want to? Yes. Let's go ahead and show this video. Am I still sharing my screen, you guys?
No, you're not.
Actually, Robert, can you bring up that? Because we were pretty successful with you sharing the videos rather than me and everyone being able to see them.
All right, give me 1 second. I'll bring it up.
Awesome. While he's doing that, Judy, do you want to introduce Bernie?
Robert, you're muted.
There we go. Now.
All right, so Bernie Anderson is a longtime friend of mine from Camp Yorktown Bay. When I was a little girl, I think he might have gone to camp with us. I remember more from working at camp. And he's got a lot of energy and a smile that you can't miss, and you'll see tonight. And the biggest part that I like about Bernie is his friendliness with everybody and his love for God. And you're going to hear from him tonight about his mission. He's been a youth pastor, and he now works for World Vision. And just as we've been talking about staying connected, he's going to talk to us more how when we're connected, how it just comes through our life and the things that we do and how we think and how we live our lives. And he's just a great friend, and we're happy to have him here tonight.
Awesome. Thank you. Bernie, thank you for being here. Bernie, what city are you joining us from?
Orlando, Florida.
Orlando. All right. I presume you're able to stay safe there. Orlando with no tourists must be a place none of us would recognize, I'm guessing.
Exactly. Yeah. It hasn't quite been a ghost town, but it's been pretty dead around here.
Oh, we don't use that term in describing the results of COVID.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, my bad.
Go ahead and roll the video, Robert.
He prunes and shapes the branches in order that the fresh buds may begin to blossom and bear fruit. Some of the branches have completely died. They did not survive the harsh winter, so the gardener removes and throws them away to be burned. He also notices that some branches have become disconnected and they lie dead because they have been severed from their life source. The gardener knows that had he not pruned the branches and removed the dead wood, the plant would not have been able to bear more fruit. It may have flowered a little, but it would never have been able to achieve its full potential for that season. In John 15 we read, "I am the true grapevine, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch of mine that doesn't produce fruit, and he prunes the
James,
branches
you're
that do
muted.
bear fruit, so they will produce even more. You have already been pruned and purified by the message I have given you. Remain in me, and I will remain in you. For a branch cannot produce fruit if it is severed from the vine, and you cannot be fruitful unless you remain in me. Yes, I am the vine, you are the branches. Those who remain in me, and I in them, will produce much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing. Anyone who does not remain in me is thrown away like a useless branch and withers. Such branches are gathered into a pile to be burned. But if you remain in me, and my words remain in you, you may ask for anything you want, and it will be granted. When you produce much fruit, you are my true disciples. This brings great glory to my Father. And so it is with us. As we grow up in Christ and remain connected to the life source, our branches must be pruned. The Father is a loving God, and he prunes us not only to discipline us, but because he loves us and wants to see us bear much fruit. Bearing fruit brings honor to God. As we grow in our spiritual walk, there will be times when God has to prune us to remove that which is dead wood. He sees the things that are holding us back and preventing us from achieving our true potential. And so gently, he tugs at that branch, making us aware of its presence, aware that it is not good for us and that it must be removed. Maybe it's a habit which is proving hard to break, or an addiction which holds us in bondage. Perhaps it's the ungodly way in which we use our tongues to slander others, or our tone with our children. For some, it may be their negativity, whilst for others, their anger. It's important to remember that we are not being asked to do this in our own strength, but as branches connected to the true vine, Jesus. As we choose to remain in Christ, he promises to remain in us. He is our helper and does not ask us to give up or change more than we can bear. What he is actually bringing us is freedom. Freedom to choose not to do that thing anymore. Freedom not to slander others. Freedom not to drink. Freedom not to be angry and full of rage. Freedom to choose our words wisely. Whatever the branch, it must be pruned, and we must let go of it to allow God to let us become more fruitful. After all, holding on to it will only hinder our growth. As we allow God to prune the branches, and as we remove the weight that hinders, we can finally begin to blossom and move forwards onto the path that God has for us.
Well, hey, good evening, everyone, and I think it's my turn. Am I good? Thumbs up. All right, cool. It's really good to be with you. And I still consider you guys, even though I'm just meeting a lot of the students for the first time, you're my Ozark family. You're my Arkansas, Northwest Arkansas family. I went to Ozark for a couple of years, graduated. I'm not gonna say what year because it just is wrong, but it was a long time ago. And but just again, really awesome to be with you as Miss Judy. I feel like I should call you like Miss Judy because we're in this context. So Miss Judy, and I go way back, and all the other, there's some other friends on here from way back, like literally 30 years, which is so long ago. But anyway, it's amazing because I'm only like 35 myself, but sorry. I'm just honored. And I think we're on this theme of connection and connecting. So it's pretty amazing that we have this kind of technology where we can connect like this on a Friday night I mean, this is honestly the only Friday night, I'll call it a Vespers, that I've ever done in my life like this. I've done a lot of meetings with Zoom lately, obviously, but this is the first kind of Friday night Vespers. So really awesome to be with you. Awesome to see some dear friends that are more like family than friends, and I love them all. I see Tonda on here, Peterson, and of course Angel and Matt. So just really awesome to see all you guys. So can I share my screen? Am I allowed to do that? Do I have permission to? I'm gonna try and show you my family that like they live in the same house with me, family. And I'm gonna share this right here. And I don't know if I'll put it in the presentation mode or not. Let's see. You guys see that okay? You see my fam? Should I hit play and then you can, let's see.
We sure can.
You can see him? All right.
Yep.
So starting from the left, as you're looking at your screen, that's my middle daughter, Brooklyn. The next beautiful person in the group is my wife, Christina, in the blue dress there. Then there's me. Then there's my oldest daughter next to me, and then my youngest one there on the end. that's my family. So like I said, we live in Orlando, Florida. I'm going to show you another photo here, another part of my family. It'll help me kind of lead into my talk here in a second. This little boy. So I think Miss Judy said that she mentioned that I work for World Vision, and I do. It's just an incredible honor to work for a Christian organization that does some incredible work. But I'll tell you about that in a second. But this little boy is Lumino, and he lives in Zambia, Africa, and he is one of my 3 sponsored children. And the reason I'm going to show you his picture and share about him a little bit is because a lot of times the way child sponsorship works is that I get to go pick the kid. I get to go, like, if I'm at a concert or if I'm at a church and they're having an event and maybe they've got a little table or a booth and there's pictures of kids, I walk up and I say, hey, I want to sponsor that kid. He could, I want to help support him so he has food and he has an education, or she or whoever. But this is something that we do that's a little bit different at World Vision, where the child actually gets to pick us as the adult or as a sponsor. And so I actually got to go and watch him choose my picture. It was so amazing. It's such a powerful moment. He walked right up to a little board where my picture was hanging with my wife, and he looked around for a minute, then he came back to us and he chose us. And so I got to meet him and hang out with this little boy named Lumino. And it just, he's like a big part of my heart and my life. And I actually may get to go back and visit him in January. So next January coming up, but wanted to introduce him to you real quick as well. And I'll stop sharing. Yeah. So a little bit real quick about what I do. I work for World Vision. We are the largest Christian global development and humanitarian organization in the world. We operate in about 100 different countries around the globe. And we are the largest non-governmental provider of clean water. So when it comes to NGOs or when it comes to big charities, we supply more clean water. When it comes to large Christian charities, we supply more clean water to people in the world that don't have clean water than any other organization. And there's about 844 million people in the world who don't have access to clean water. And that's something you and I take for granted, right? It's like, if I can't walk up to my refrigerator and push that little button to get some water, then there's something wrong, right? So, but there's a big chunk of people in the world who don't have access to clean water, which makes a huge difference in their lives. And so World Vision actually gets clean water to people about every 10 seconds. Someone gets clean water from World Vision around the world. So that's pretty cool. But we're about 40,000 employees around the world. Like I said, we operate in over 100 different countries. And our big dream, our big goal, we believe that God's given us the mission to help bring fullness of life. You know that verse in the Bible from John 10:10 that says that Jesus came to give us life and to give it to the full, right? And sometimes you and I think about that and we're like, man, my life doesn't feel very full right now. And yet you and I live in a country where we have access to a lot of stuff. Well, I work with a lot of people who don't have access to nearly the stuff that we have. And so when we talk about bringing life to the full to them, it's a pretty significant thing. So that's a big part of what I do, and I love it. And I serve with a bunch of beautiful, incredible Christian people. It usually keeps me on the road, traveling quite a bit. I go to Africa at least 2 to 3 times a year generally, and as well as some other countries. But anyway, that's what I get to do. I'll just take a moment and invite you guys to something that's kind of fun. Next Friday night, I'm hosting a little gathering. It's like a little Friday night Vespers with a recording artist that probably your parents probably know more so than you. But he's really, really great. And back in the day, he was super popular. But his name is Mac Powell.
That's not cool, man.
I know. I'm sorry. His name is Mac Powell, and he played with a band called Third Day. And he's a good friend of mine, and he's agreed to come on and do a Zoom call just like this He's going to do some music, and we'll give a little talk. I have a good friend of mine who is an expert and knows a lot about the impact of clean water to the world that doesn't have clean water. He's going to give a talk, and I'll be on there. So anyway, that's for next Friday night. You guys are all invited. But tonight we're talking about staying connected to the vine, which I love. That's a great theme. In fact, let me tell you a quick story about something that happened when I was a kid. I grew up in Arkansas, where you are. I grew up in Arkansas. I grew up in Little Rock. And so that's my home. I'm a hog. I'm a woo pig suey all the way. I call the hogs. People look at me like I'm crazy in Florida, but it's okay. I don't mind. But when I was a kid growing up, I went to a funeral, and I know maybe you've been to a funeral when it's not a pleasant occasion. And when you're young, it's even less pleasant, I think, because you just don't know what's going on, and they make you dress up and so forth. So I had to go to a funeral way out in the country. It was in the summer. There's a little country church. It was super hot, and they had no air conditioning. They just opened the windows, right? You can imagine just how hot it is in Arkansas in the summer. It's humid like crazy. It's also an African American funeral. Super emotional, very loud, and it goes a long time. All right. And so that's what I had to go to as a kid. And so I'm with my mom and some of my family members, and someone in my family, my kind of extended family, had passed away. I didn't really know him. I'm a kid. I'm probably 7, 8 years old, somewhere in there. I don't know. But something happened that I'll never, ever forget that my mom had to do. Now, my mom, I got to tell you about my mom. My mom is a nurse. She's been a nurse for like 40 years, as long as I can remember. And so we're at this funeral. She's a nurse. And like I said, it's a long, hot experience. We come to the end and everybody's starting to leave. And apparently it was so long and so difficult that it got the best of one of these older gentlemen that was at the funeral. And as he's walking out down that center aisle of the church, he collapses in the middle of the aisle. And I'm right there. He's like 2 pews in front of me. I saw him go down, and he's not looking good, and people rush to help him. And my mom, who's a nurse, jumps up and she runs over to him, and she rolls him over, puts him in the right position. And this is a long time ago. So this is like when you did CPR, and you had to put your mouth on somebody else's mouth. You had to like open their airway, pinch their nose, open their mouth, put your mouth on their mouth, and blow. The whole thing is like 100. I'm looking at it going, wow, that's intense. And then I'm also thinking to myself, there is no way I could do that. Mom, you're amazing, right? Put your mouth on somebody else's mouth. And I could even see like a little trickle of saliva coming out the man's mouth. It was like, oh man, that's not good. That's not good. But you know what? My mom, and she did the chest compressions. She got him going. And he was awake. The ambulance people got there, the EMTs, and they took care of the man. And as far as I know, he was okay. I never knew anything, but I will always remember that story. And I remember it today because it teaches me an incredible lesson. And that is, if you want to help and serve and support people, you got to get close to them. One of the things that I love about the Bible is that it paints a lot of really powerful pictures. So just imagine in your mind, go back to the book of Genesis. I won't read it to you, but you know what happens. God creates the world, and then he does this really cool thing, and he creates human beings. He creates Adam and Eve. And the way he even creates Adam is really powerful, because he gets really close to Adam. He like breathes into his nostrils, right? I think that might be worse than breathing into somebody's mouth even, but God didn't mind because he wanted to get close to Adam, and he wanted to be connected to Adam. a big word that maybe we could use is he wanted to be intimate and connected to Adam. So from the very beginning of time, God's had this idea that he should get close to you and me. We should be connected. All right, if you fast forward, you go kind of to the middle of your Bible, to the Gospels, right? Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Or if you read the book, Desire of Ages, right? You read about the stories of Jesus. Jesus comes, it's Christmas. He comes as a baby, he comes in the flesh. Why do you think he did that? He wanted to get close to us. He wanted to be connected. He wanted to be near us. He wanted to touch us. He wanted to be close. And then ultimately, if you go past the middle all the way to the end, you go to the book of Revelation, chapter 21, it says that Jesus will come back and he's going to create this kingdom. And in the kingdom will be all these people that he wants to remain connected to and be with throughout eternity. And it says that he will be their God and we will be his people. That sounds a lot to me like God's super interested in remaining connected to you and me. I love that. I mean, God has always been about relationship, right? He created at the beginning. He didn't need us. He didn't need anything. He had a great, beautiful world. In fact, we kind of screwed things up, didn't we? We kind of messed things up. And yet God comes along, and I think he's still interested in being close to us. That's why I loved your theme passage. But I think there's another gear that kicks in when you are connected to God that I think is really, really powerful. And here's the passage. So you guys are in John 15. I'm going to go over to John 17, and it's a prayer. It's the same section of the Bible. It's called the farewell discourse. All right, farewell. When it says farewell, that means somebody's going bye-bye. And Jesus was about to say bye or farewell, and he's telling his disciples, because he loves them, that he's connected to them. He's in relationship with them. He gives them all these messages, and towards the end of the message, he says this, and I love what he says here. He says, my prayer is not that you take them out of the world. So he's talking to his Father. He's saying, God, Father, I'm getting ready to leave my friends. And this is what I'm saying to you that I hope will happen for them. My prayer is not that you take them out of the world, but that you protect them from the evil one. They are not of the world, even as I am not of it. Sanctify them by the truth. Your word is truth. As you sent me into the world. Now pick up on this. As you sent me into the world, I have sent them into the world. Which, I mean, I love that. And so as you and I are connected to the vine, as we're connected to Jesus, he does it, he sends us into the world, and you and I are present in the world. And here's the way I like to think of it. If we want to remain connected to Jesus, or if we even want to get connected to Jesus, here's what I believe. And it takes me back to the story of my mom and the man who was on his back about to die. If you want to stay connected to Jesus, we have to move closer to the broken, vulnerable people in the world. Now think about it for a moment. You think about the people that Jesus hung out with when he was here on this earth. He hung out with a lot of broken, vulnerable people, messed up people. He didn't hang out with the cool, rich people. He really didn't. He didn't have anything against them. And there were times when he did hang out with some people because he got criticized for that. But at the end of the day, Jesus hung out with a lot of broken, vulnerable, hurt people. And I think that's kind of where we used to have this saying at summer camp. We used to have this, I think Judy and Tonda and these guys and Angel would remember this, but we used to say that God spends his summers at summer camp, because we all worked at summer camp. We thought it was a great place. Where does God spend his summer? God spends his summers at summer camp, because we felt like there are a lot of vulnerable people there. There are a lot of vulnerable kids that need to hear about Jesus, need to hear the story of Jesus. And we get to connect to those kids, and we got to do all kinds of, kind of like academy, right? Your teachers and other people are connected to Jesus, and they connect you to Jesus. So all I'm saying is this: if we want to remain connected to the vine, and we do, and we are connected to the vine, but the way we stay connected is to lean into the lives of broken and hurting people. Now, that may be people right in your own family. It may be people within your friend group. It's people just wherever they are. In my world right now, I feel like God's called me to lean into some of the poorest and most vulnerable people in the world. That's both here in the U.S. and around the world, but mainly around the world. And that's what I get to do for a living. That's how I actually get to, do my job. But I think it can be anybody. I think it could be anybody because I believe that God wants to do that. Here's the second thing that I want you to think about. If indeed we're going to remain connected to Jesus, he said something really, really powerful. He said, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. Right? So in order to remain connected to Jesus in relationship with him, which is what he wants and which is what I want, you have to give up something good in order to be used by God to do something great. See, I think there's always something pretty powerful that God has in mind for us. It's going to be scary for us. It's going to be like, that's impossible, God. What on earth are you thinking? That's not for me. I can't do that. I can do this. Sorry, Siri just spoke back to me. I apologize for that. And you sit back and say, I can only do this. This is the way you made me, God. This is all I can do. And so we get stuck in the good thing, and good things are great. Good things are wonderful, but it may not be the great thing with the great impact that helps the most vulnerable people that you could help. Because remember, God didn't take you out of the world. He left you here. And until he comes back, he wants to be in relationship with you, but he wants your life, get this, he wants your life to be a force for good in the world that we live in. I love the fact that he left us here, but I'm super glad he didn't leave us alone. So anything that God places on your heart, anything that he places in your mind, anything that he inspires you to do, he'll be with you to help make it happen, to help make it be a force, be something good that happens in the world. It may require you to get close though. My mom couldn't help save that man's life from a distance, right? You ever seen anybody do CPR from a distance? That would look pretty funny. Doesn't work that way. You don't save people. You don't even love people well until you get close to them. You gotta get close. And I think the way we stay connected to Jesus is get close to some of the people that a lot of people don't want to get close to. I'll leave you with this, all right? I'll leave you with a quick story, if that's all right. I told you I lived in Arkansas. I'm a big Arkansas Razorback fan. And I got to go watch the Arkansas Razorbacks in the Cotton Bowl one year. It was amazing. I'm a big college football fan, and I got to go see the Razorbacks play the UCLA Bruins in the Cotton Bowl. And my mom won the tickets. So the tickets were free. And it was in Dallas, so that's where the Cotton Bowl is. So I got to drive to Dallas, went to the game, and I was blown away by where we got to sit. All right. We got to sit in like a really great seat. All right. I'll tell you where it was. It was like the 45-yard line, third row, right? So that's really close in the center of the football field, in the center of the stadium in the field. Now, here's who was sitting in the same stadium with me. All right. You may or may not know these names, but the older people on the call will. So Bill Clinton, a former president, at the time, I think he was governor, he was seated like behind me. That is awesome, right? I was sitting in front of the dude that was the governor. That's pretty good. The other person that was seated to the right of me and a couple of rows behind me was a guy by the name of Sam Walton. He founded Walmart. The founder of Walmart was sitting right there in the same place. Crazy. He was behind me too. I had the best seats in the house, man. It was amazing. And Arkansas did not win the game, unfortunately, but had a great seats. It was amazing. And I remember that experience and how amazing it was, and what an incredible place I was in. What an incredible place I got to sit. When you think about heaven, you think about the kingdom of God. You think about all the cool things that are there. I know in Sabbath schools and in church, sometimes we talk about like, I'm going to ski on the sea of glass, or I'm going to I'm gonna fly to other planets when I get to heaven. It's gonna be great. I just want to be able to sing personally. That's me. But we think about the cool things that are in the place. But I want you to think about this. Heaven has never been about a place, y'all. It's always been about a person. And that's Jesus. Always been about a person. From the very beginning, that same Jesus who was there at creation has wanted to be with you. He's wanted to be in a relationship with you. He's wanted to know you. He's wanted to just hug you. And that's true in the kingdom of God. It's a cool place. I'm sure it'll be great. There'll be streets of gold and all kinds of cool, shiny things. Cool things we'll be able to do. At the end of the day, we get to get close. We get to really get connected to Jesus. I hope and pray that, man, that connection begins right now. And I hope and pray that we'll all just remember that it's not about the place. It never has been. It's always about the person. And that person is Jesus. So God bless you guys. If there's ever anything I can do to help you, support you, hey, I'm here. Let me know. And I pray that you'll join us next week, Friday. But stay connected to the vine. God bless.
Bernie, will you? What time is the meeting next week?
So it's 7:30 Eastern. So it'll be
6:30 here.
time. Yep.
Okay, and will you make sure one of us has the link so we can share it?
Absolutely. I will share it out to you after I'm done.
Awesome. And will you hold on for a moment for us to take a group picture with you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So like we normally do, while we wait for Kalechi to take her bonnet off, if everybody who doesn't have their video on will pop their video on for a second, just long enough for a group picture.
Are you
And
taking
like
your bonnet off, Sarah?
No, if this stays on.
All right. And like I always say, I don't know exactly when it takes it. So start smiling now and then hold it, right? So ready? Hold it. Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Bernie, we're going to transition into break rooms in a second. Do you have a second to wait until it's just the adults again?
That was good.
Awesome. Robert, if you want to go ahead and start transitioning speech number 4.
So thank you, Bernie. What we're going to be doing right now is going into our breakout rooms to give you guys opportunities to think a little bit about what Bernie has shared with us and look at a couple of questions. Remember, adults, if you're a group leader, it's facilitating discussion about through the kids to get the students thinking a little bit more on their side of things. But we have 7 questions here for you guys to think about. You don't have to answer each one, but go through and kind of look at them and think about them. But really what we're looking at is how in our own practical ways can we stay connected to Jesus? Because there's a lot of different things that pull us one way or another way. It may be, homework. Some students will say like chemistry or geometry or something like that. I just don't understand that one. But anyways, all that stuff is easy. But in your breakout sessions, and as you go through these, think about what you do to stay connected to Christ. But Mr. James is going to start putting you into breakout rooms, so you're going to probably start being whisked away. And if you see your breakout room there on your screen, just go ahead and you can go ahead and join. And
get a screen clip of the questions.
Yes, get a screen clip of the questions so that you have them there.
You can go in any order.
And then you can go in any order through the questions, and you can go ahead and do your breakout rooms.
Casey, what room were you in before?
4.
Thank you, Miss Casey. All right, I think that looks like all of the Youth and Dean Neary have moved over to their rooms. Angel, are you here? Did Kess go in with another room?
Oh, I was just trying to get her on another Zoom so I could stay with the adults, but
Okay, if she jumps in, I'll try and put her in somewhere else.
okay.
Hey, and so the idea as we get larger and larger groups, as we have a group that's just the adults, if this group can have the same discussion is great, but also maybe a little more concerted discussion in this adults group, praying for the discussion that's happening in the youth groups. Not that we want to not have too many necessarily, but I think there's a huge value in you guys praying over the other groups that are happening at the same time. Bernie, I also wanted to have a quick second to say thank you. Personally, I don't know if we'll get to connect with you again. And one thing you'll find out about me, Bernie, is I am not shy ever about asking for things. So I am not going to be shy about asking you what time we should hook up with you and Mac next week. You know, I presume you can just roll right from your other meeting into our meeting. So, you know, just let us know. We'll send Mac a t-shirt if that will help or anything like that. We'll send you a t-shirt even if that's what we need to bribe him to come. So
That'd be awesome. He's only giving me 30 minutes. I had to kind of twist him out, you know, but he's super cool. For another time, he might be open to it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Ask him. You know, it never hurts to ask is my motto. And if it does hurt, well, you weren't going to get him anyway. So no harm done. So, hey, Sarah, what group were you in? Sarah, do you remember? It looks like you're frozen. Do you? Oh, she's gone. Hey, guys, I'm going to ask this group to pray with Manny, and I'm going to go make sure all the kids are good in their groups. Excuse me, with Bernie.
Hey, Mr.
Thanks
Harris,
again, Bernie.
Can you, Mr. Harris?
Is he getting you?
Yes, Sarah, what group were you in?
I was with Pastor Franco, Mr. Jonathan.
Breakout room 4. Okay, thanks, Sarah.
James, Cass is on there now trying to join.
All right, see you guys.
Okay. James, can you give Cass a breakout room?
Yep, I already assigned her to group 2. And
You get it, Cass?
Carrie keeps telling me to make sure Bernie knows that you have permission to leave, but you know, that's all on you now, man. So I'm going to start pumping into some of the little breakout rooms, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Thought I'd hang out long enough to just pray. Are you guys
Yeah.
praying? All right, sweet. Then I'll bail because it's like after 10 here. Y'all know.
You gotta
us
get to
old
bed.
people, that's we gotta get to bed. I know that's right.
Hey, Bernie, now that's all of us adults. What year did you graduate from Ozark?
1989, my friend. 1989.
So
He's a year
you look
older
ve-
than me.
What's
You look
that?
very, very familiar. Were you at Andrews University for any time?
Oh yeah. I'm a pastor, so I did my time at the seminary. I finished seminary in 99.
Okay.
So I pastored for about 4 years before going. And then yeah, I was there 97 to 99. That's right. 97.
Where else have you been?
Then I was pastoring in Texas with the seminary, went back to pastoring in Texas. And I pastored in Salt Lake City, Utah for about 8 years. And then Florida was my last place I pastored.
Okay. I'm trying to figure out where I know you from because you look very familiar.
Well,
Everybody
I
knows
hate to-
Bernie.
I hate to say it. There was this thing years ago called Net 98, and
Okay.
I was a co-host with Dwight Nelson. Remember that big old satellite thing? That might be it. Because a lot of
Probably, yeah.
people, A lot of elderly people, especially. I walk into churches with a bunch of old people that are, you're Bernie. Anyway.
Hey, Bernie, I was trying to find my World Vision t-shirt.
Yeah.
I couldn't find it. I did a half
Oh,
marathon
no.
4 years ago.
You ran with us in Colorado, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Right on.
I need to send you another one then.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened to it.
I'll send you another one. We have these cool ones called Strong Women, Strong World. And the end actually begins with her. They're really cool. I'll send you one of those.
Okay, I'll send you my address after this.
All right.
Thank you.
I texted Judy the information on getting on next Friday night. So she'll have
She
that.
also sent us information about your neck on the 18th or 17th. You're gonna run a.
Oh yeah, our global 6K. That's really cool. Yeah. That's what I'm going to talk a lot about it next Friday night. So we'll talk more about it. But yeah, it's really cool. It's a global deal. It's about 50,000 people will be a part of the global 6K on May 16th.
Okay, that'll be fun.
Yeah, that's cool. Am I supposed to pray?
Yeah.
All right, yeah. Okay. Let the pastor guy pray. That's for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll say a quick word of prayer and then I'm out, y'all. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Let's pray. Lord Jesus. Oh God. There are students and adult leaders that are broken off in the groups right now, and God, I pray that something that we shared tonight will come up in those conversations, and it will mainly be about you. And it'll be about how to remain connected to you, how to love you for the long haul. Because God, as much as we want you to come back, you're not quite here yet. We want to live for you between the right now and the not yet. And so I just lift all those adults up who may have to respond to some tough questions. And I pray that your spirit would be upon them and give them the right words. Those words would be full of grace and mercy and love. I pray, God, that every kid would hear about who you are and your character. And you're a God who is patient and kind and loving, but you're also a God who calls us to something new, something better, something greater. And sometimes it's tough to make that leap. But give us the courage, Lord, I pray, through the gift of your spirit to become people who are fully connected to you and always desiring to be with you. And as we do that, God, will move closer to the broken people around this world and make a difference with them too. So God, just place your hand on every student, I pray. And all these good friends, Lord, who are on this call, I pray that you would be with them as they lead students there at the academy. I pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Bye, y'all. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Good night. Thanks.
Christy, are you in here? Is there Christy in here? Christy, can you hear us? I think there's someone there named Christy, but are you just being silent in the background? That's okay.
Yeah, we have to come back in a second.
There you go.
Well, I learned a valuable lesson. I left all the adults out here in their own group, and then I went to check on some of you guys. When I came back, all the adults out here in the other group, they were gone. They ditched, they took off. That was interesting. I hope you guys had some awesome discussions. I heard some deep thoughts in there.
So do we want to have our group leaders? Who's maybe our first group leader? Pastor Franco, were you a leader of a group?
I was leader number 4, but I can go number 1 if needed.
Sure, we'll start with you guys. What stood out to you tonight? Anything in particular about keeping connected to the vine?
Well, hey, let me ask the Jones family, Sarah or Casey. Those are my teammates. What stood out to you guys?
Okay, what stood out to me was that we are the vine, but no matter how many times we break off or we don't produce fruit, he still gives us enough to do that. I mean, like, one of the questions was like, what is a habit, or what can we make a yearly or a monthly or a weekly or a nightly thing? And frankly, I can't go to bed until I've read my devotion and prayed to God, and then I go to sleep. And that's all.
Awesome. Thank you, Casey. So yeah, we just talked about the biggest thing we kind of talked about was practical ways to stay connected to the vine, yearly, monthly, weekly, daily. So we had a very good discussion about that. And that was definitely one thing, building these habits to stay connected on a daily basis, to the point where you literally can't go to sleep without reading the Bible and praying. Like, you literally can't fall asleep. And I think that's amazing. So those are some things we talked about.
That is great. And I think it's important to try to have routines that we're used to doing. And then I know Carrie and I, in our different Sabbath school group, we talked about having that routine, and then also knowing that we can be random. God is always listening and waiting, and we keep those routines, but we're always looking for a moment. God's always there to listen. So I think that's awesome. What about Carrie and James from your group? Did you have a group that you guys were with? No. Donald, did you have a group?
Donald is not here.
Okay. Let's see. Kalechi, why don't we do your group?
Okay, Dineri.
Okay. We had really good discussion, and we just talked about ways to stay connected and what happens when you don't stay connected. Let's see. I mean, Kalechi shared for number 4, what happens the longer you're around someone, and she just shared about this friend that she, hung around a lot with, and so she started acting like her, and I mean, they did a lot of things similarly, and then she came to Ozark, and she wasn't connected as much, and she wasn't with her, and so they kind of drifted apart, and so I think it's the same way with God. The more connected you are, the more you're going to act like him, but the further you are, you're going to disconnect. So I mean, anybody in my group can say something else that maybe stood out to them, but that was the one thing that I kind of remembered.
Yeah, I just want to add something to that too. Dineri brought up a good point on the last one about how a light bulb and when it's not connected and stuff. And it's just like, So God is like the lamp, so to speak, because we all went to like a collective agreement that the lamp is the one that brings the light to the bulb. Because when the bulb is just by itself, you know, it's just there. It's just dark. It's not shedding any light. And Denari was saying, like, whenever we're connected from God, we're just kind of just there. And we need to stay connected to him always, because when we're unconnected, like I said, we're dark. And this already dark world, we're just adding on to that darkness. So when we connect to Jesus, we really add a light, like a vibrantness that many people who are in the dark have been looking for that light for a long time. And suddenly they see us and like, wow, I need to go towards that. So Denari brought up definitely a good point. Like we definitely need to stay connected to Jesus, because if not, we're just dark and we're just already adding to the darkness, and there's no point in that. So we might as well just shed light just as Jesus wants us to do. So yeah.
That's important. That's a great point. And you know, that light bulb, it's there. It has the capability. It has everything it needs to work except the power. And it's the power of Christ that makes us able to shine. That's great. What about Andrew and Callie? What about your group? Here's Callie.
We read through all the questions. And my just to give this out there, my group was Emma, Aaron, and Alexis. So if you guys want to help me with this, that's great. I'm just giving you a chance to speak. I have a feeling that we stopped on let's see, number 5. And I liked that one. Are the fruits something that I produced, or are they something that God produces and I'm just a branch he puts them on? And we agree that, you know, the fruits don't come from us. God gives the fruits, but after God gives us the fruits, we still have the choice to produce them or not. You know, we always have that choice.
That's good.
What do you guys in
Anybody else in your group want to add to what Andrew said about the fruit?
group? Emma, Aaron, Alexis.
And our group was the last group. Anybody want to talk for our group? Anything that stood out for you guys? I think we had an interesting point. Matthew, what did you think about staying connected during quarantine? Is it harder or was it easier? Like you're more connected to your friends or less connected?
Oh, I said that I felt like it was easier to stay connected just because we were all in the same boat, all staying at home, being in the same situation, that we have online school and we could be able to play games together. Like, as I pointed out when we were talking together, I have friends from Ozark that I haven't played or probably talked to in over a year. And in the past, like 3 weeks, I've been playing games with them and talking to them a lot. So it's interesting to see how it changes depending on the situation.
Or joining their classes.
Oh yeah, that too.
You know, I think that's an interesting part of it all, as you stop and think about the quarantine and how it has changed relationships a little bit. But, you know, like Matthew said, it also gives us opportunities to come back together and reconnect with old friendships that we've had in the past. You know, it's interesting for us. We have not seen the Nardis and a lot of our friends from Richmond for years, but we have been connecting with them more, just, you know, through Zoom and things like that, just because things have changed. And, you know, it's that way with Christ as excuse me, as we stay connected and spend time, those relationships, that relationship grows. And as that relationship grows, that is what bears the fruit. It's a natural outcome of being connected to the vine. And that's why it's so important for us to, throughout our day and as often as possible, to remember our relationship with Christ. One thing that's always has confounded me at times was that, you know, in the Bible, it talks about, you know, cease without prayer, you know, pray without ceasing. And when I was younger, I never really understood that until I got older and I realized that's my connection. It is a talking with God. It's not that I have to be on my knees, but it's a communicating all through my day to realize this is where my source of strength comes. And so when I get into a situation that is difficult or hard, it's a reminder that, you know what, God is here with me to get me through the struggles that I'm taking. And that is staying connected to the vine. And in that, he will change our lives and we will bear fruit, not because of anything that we do, but because of what he does. So I just want to, thank you guys for all joining in tonight. And I hope that we learned something. I hope that you guys have a good night's rest and a good Sabbath day. And we have Miss Carrie have prayer here, and then we'll just leave the meeting open for you guys to sit and discuss and talk. So Miss Carrie, if you want to have prayer for us.
Yep, we'll do. Let's bow our heads. Oh, Jesus, we just so much want to be connected to you, and we know that's what you want. And that's the amazing thing, is that you want a connection with us. And yet, even in this quarantine, and even when life is slowed down and quiet, it's still pretty noisy for us. And sometimes we get distracted, and sometimes we don't put you first. And there's other things that take our minds away from you. So we just ask that once again, you'll bring us back around to what really matters. And like Pastor Bernie was saying, Lord, give us a little piece of heaven right now, because we know that heaven is not about the place. It's about the relationship that we have with you, and that we'll be able to see you face to face. And honestly, you give us that right now if we'll find it, and we'll look to stay connected to you, Lord. And we just ask that you give us that burden, that desire, more than anything else, so that we can just stay that connected to you, so that we won't really even be thinking about the fruits that we produce, Lord, but we'll look and all of a sudden realize, oh, look, I am producing fruit. But I didn't realize it because I was just trying to stay connected to my best friend. And Lord, that's what we want. And we just ask that you do that for us every single day. In your name I pray, amen.
Sabbath.
Hey, quick
Sabbath, everyone.
quick reminder. Awesome. Thank you, Fetters, Kalechi, Andrew, and Jonathan for leading the breakout groups. And you guys send me the scores and your pictures, so that we can post the pictures next week and maybe online, and we can send prizes as well. Okay, so send me your
sent you our
scores.
scores already.
Excuse me, no one
Emailed
told me
them.
you were posting those pictures.
Wait, are you posting them?
Where are we posting them?
Wait, are you posting them for people to see publicly?
Well, nothing embarrassing.
You have to ask our consent.
My face is embarrassing as it is.
That
Don't
is
worry.
not true.
I'll ask you.
Yeah, you need to ask if they're posting.
All right, you guys, let's see. I have a Jonathan, how did you send me the points? In the email?
Verbally, 177.
Oh, 177. Okay. Just throwing it down there to see if anybody else can even keep up, huh? Andrew, do you know how your group did?
124. 224.
AJ,
My bad.
224. Jonathan, 177. Kletchy, you know how your group did?
No, I just want to say I'm really bad at math. This is probably gonna take me a while. Can I send you like a little bit later tonight or something?
That's fine. That's
Okay.
absolutely fine. And Fetters, how did your group do?
I don't know. I got to look at the pictures and get it.
Is it because you're really bad at math and stuff too?
Bad at math. I think Kalechi is my math student too.
Awesome. All right. Yeah, like we normally do, we'll just leave the group open if anybody wants to visit. Thank you all for coming.
Bye everyone. Happy Sabbath.
Bye everyone.
Hi. Thank
See you.
you. See you later. Leave.
Casey, you're still on mute.
Oops.
Oops. Casey, that's normally like you. Oops. It's just us. So.
Casey?
Oh, James is gone. He asked you a question.
Good to see you guys.
Good to see you.
You guys doing okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's crazy to be locked up all this time, isn't it?
It is. And my mom's insane, so she won't let us go anywhere.
She's just protecting you and taking care of you.
Yeah, that's true.
Are you have you been able to work at all, Casey?
No, sir.
And is McDonald's shut down completely?
No, mom won't let her go back to work, but now she's supposed to go back to work on the 6th.
Oh, okay.
That's good.
My immune system, it's compromised.
Gotcha.
So we have to be extra careful. Plus, grandma has pulmonary edema.
Yeah.
So there's that. But it was good because she got but it was good. I think it was good for her because we got Uncle Jerry's day of death off. She got